Your child has been diagnosed with FND, and you as a parent desperately want to help. However, your child is not engaging with you, losing motivation, or straight up refusing to work with you. What do you do? Hi, my name is Dr. Jean Lee. I'm a pediatric psychologist and chronic pain survivor myself. My mission is to help teens and their parents like you to eliminate chronic pain and FND so that they can get their life back and feel like normal again, because every teen deserves so much more in their lives. If you're new to this channel, I have a free PDF parent guide on how to help your teens at home. So click the link below and grab the copy today. So today's topic is all about what to do as a parent when your teenage child is refusing to work with you. And before I talk about that, I want to talk about quickly what FND is. Functional neurological disorder, short for FND, is an umbrella term to describe this cross-wired problem between the brain and the body. And it is the second most common diagnosis that you would get in the neurology clinic, even though nobody talks about it and nobody knows about it, probably including you until you got this diagnosis for your child. And it is not just one medical condition. It is not just a psychological condition. It is not in your child's head or they're making things up. FND is a biopsychosocial phenomenon. And I do have a video talking about what FND is, so click the link below. All right, so now that it's out of the way, let's talk about simple, typical developmental milestones that every teen is likely to experience. And then I'm going to talk about what you can do as a parent, okay? Because it's really important for you to know what teenagers go through typically, so you're not really chunking things down into, oh, it's a teenager problem. You really have to understand what they're going through so then you would have more compassion towards their experience that is real. So as a teenager, they're seeking more independence and more control. And related to that, they're starting to form their own identity or trying to figure out who they are. And this is really becoming prominent in this age range of the adolescence and teenager timeline, right? So it's a normal thing. And they also want to spend more time with friends. That is also normal. And then you might have experienced that. And then they also like to challenge parents' expectations and commands or authorities related to seeking more independence and control. They kind of go hand in hand. And these teens also experience mood swings and mixed emotions at the same time. So they might be feeling happy and sad at the same time, mad and worried at the same time, that kind of thing. That's very, very common, and it's not strange or weird. It's part of the normal developmental milestones because they're, again, trying to figure out who they are and then who they belong to, what they belong to, where they belong to. So this is sort of like a testing out phase. And at the same time, most teens are feeling excited and overwhelmed about their future at the same time. So those are 6 common developmental milestones that every teen is likely to experience. And chances are your child is not an exception either. And then maybe you have experienced some of or all of those already. So now let's talk about what you can do. Before I talk about anything that you can do differently, I also want to point out self-compassion, meaning you as a parent, just because you're watching this video, that means that you are a good parent who cares about your child to get better. And quite frankly, I hear from many, many parents that I work with, they just want to get their child back. And they don't want to think and worry about what their child's life would be with this condition if they don't do something about it to fix the problem. And these are very common and real statements that I would get from all the parents virtually that I work with. And they're coming from good intention because they care. They want their child to get better. So just acknowledge that you are a good parent and you are doing this because you care. Many parents just like slip through and oh yeah. Okay, now I really want to focus on my child, but hold that thought because nobody is really recognizing your hard work. So I would like you to start recognizing your hard work, and at the bottom line, you care about your child. Okay? So there is that. So that being said, with love, I also challenge you to think about a quick reality check. Who is spending more time and energy on your child's symptoms, whether it's a chronic pain or FND? To be specific, who is asking these status check questions? Reminding about medicines, drinking water, getting up in the morning and doing this and that. What's the pain level? How many times did you have seizures? How long did the seizure episode last? And all of those things. Who is asking those questions? Is it you or your child? So that's one question from me to you. All it to say, is your child feeling empowered? Also known as, is your child feeling like your child has control over his or her or their body and decision-making process? Remember, adolescents, they want to feel more in control and independence, right? So the more they can feel that they're in control and the more independence, the better outcome it is, whatever it is that we're dealing with. So I challenge you to ask, who is spending more time and energy on either asking these questions or trying to solve the problem, whether it's a chronic pain or FND? So that's one question, a reality check for you. And number 2, reality check question, where is your focus? Kind of related to the first one. So let me go into details. Are you on a mission to find the answer and root cause for your child's FND or chronic pain? And are you also on a mission to find the cure to get rid of your child's chronic pain or FND quickly? And then number 2, after the quick reality check, what is your expectation as a parent? So for example, what is your expectation when it comes to involving your teenage child? And I have 2 potential scenarios. Are you asking your child to follow what you tell them to do, which is kind of like a correcting your child? No, this is the way to go. I know what's better, so I know what is good for you. Therefore, I need you to do this for me, kind of thing. Or are you being on the same team with your child? Look, I am in this thing together. So you and I, we are going to figure things out. So it's you and I versus the chronic pain or FND. So I'm asking you, which one are you doing? And then the third step is to realize your old way of handling things, like the blowing the air to the fire. That doesn't really go away. So telling your child what to do style will not work. And also at the same time, the advice that you're giving, really think about it. Is it solicited advice from your child, or is it unsolicited advice where you think that your child needs to hear, that you think that your child needs to follow? As long as advice is unsolicited, I will say your kid is not likely to just change their mind and follow what your child is hearing. Okay? So there is that. So telling your child this is the way doesn't necessarily work. At the same time, forcing the outcome style wouldn't work. Meaning you have to do this and then really being on top of your child and then telling them, this is what I need you to do. You have to do this. You have to do this. This is non-negotiable, in more like a one-way street conversation style. That doesn't work either, because the more you do that, your child is likely to refuse and push back and push back and push back. At the same time, the complete opposite, being passive and then let your child do whatever they want, that style doesn't work either, because it's very in the 2 sides of the spectrums, and then we have to find somewhere in between, that sweet spot. So here is what you could do potentially differently. Really all about communication and talking to your child. So I'm going to break it down. The way that we're approaching the old way, either forcing the outcome or, unsolicited advice and being super passive was not the way to go. So you basically admit, hey, I made a mistake, not necessarily talking about you as a bad person or bad parent, but this is more of like, okay, this approach didn't work. So I admit that this approach didn't work out. So you come clean and come forward and start with you instead of telling your child, look, here's what we're going to be doing differently. You are going to do these things differently. Then we're kind of going back to the old way of forcing the outcome, the one-way street, and that kind of thing. So I would like you to take the courage and then admit what wasn't working the way you were handling the situation. And number 2, you also make a commitment to do things differently. And you have to mean it and you have to follow through, no matter what, as much as possible. We're not perfect, so we're not asking you to drastically change overnight and then be perfect from the day one. No, but you are making a commitment, so every day and every time you are showing up as a different parent approach. Okay? We can't change who you are, but you can change the way you do things differently. So, starting with the quit list. Here is what you're going to be quitting. You can start that if you want to. So for instance, if you were that kind of parent who had been giving so much information all at once and bombarding with too many different doctor's appointments, too many different approaches for treatment, this medicine and that medicine, and trying these gimmicky things or whatever, functional medicine, OT, PT, psychology, and this intensive outpatient program, and then this residential program, and this treatment, this chiropractor, this acupuncture, all of these things. If you are doing this, I would say you can start quitting giving too much to your child. If that's you, you can start there. You can also say you can stop asking too many questions. Remember, in the name of the empowerment that your child is craving for as a teenager or adolescent, this is something you can quit. You can stop asking these questions, which again, it has a scientific evidence why doing this or quitting this is really important. Okay? Or you can also say, you know what? I am not going to have too many reminders anymore. I trust you. I want you to be in charge of it. So we're going to do this together, and I want you to take responsibility as well and ownership, right? So you can say, yep, I am going to quit reminding too many times. That could be it. You can also make a commitment to stop invalidating your child. Again, this is kind of related to the correction over connection. So can you stop correcting your child because it's not about who is right or wrong? Can you make it all about connecting with your child, aka validating your child? Okay. And assuming your child wants to get better, because who doesn't, right? They may not know exactly how, but I would imagine that they want to get better. But assuming your child wants to get better, ask what they are willing to do on their own without you policing. So a little bit of guideline here. You can set the parameter if your child has no clue as to what he, she, they want to do. And so you can choose 2 to 3 choices, like trying one treatment approach, going to school, participating in a chore, and going back to sports or enjoying the hobbies. Once again, any of that stuff, you can kind of come up with the list and 2 to 3. Don't come up with 20 or 30 or 50. That's too much, okay? But you can come up with 2 to 3 choices and let your child pick in the name of empowerment, responsibility, and ownership. Okay? And then whatever your child pick, you have to be okay with it. Therefore, you can kind of set the parameters. And then if your child has a burning desire to do something, one thing that your child is willing to commit, then I would say you can start with that, whatever your child is committing to do. The whole game and idea and the goal is for your child to learn how to be independent, taking care of themselves, therefore having the ownership and control and the empowerment. Okay, so if your child has something that he, she, they want to do, I would say we can start there. And it's okay to include incentive. And I would say be very mindful about how you bring this idea. So for example, do you know the difference between reinforcement and then a bribe? The bribe is you're basically asking your child to do something that you want your child to do in exchange for your child getting something. So for example, your child, let's say, doesn't want to go to this doctor for an appointment. It happened to me not too long ago. The child was refusing, and then the parent was begging the child to go to this doctor's appointment in exchange for, you know what, I'm going to give you money, I'm going to give you a Lego set, I'm going to give you unlimited video time, so I need you to go to this doctor's appointment. So that, whose agenda was it? Clearly it was a parent's agenda, and the parent was using quote unquote bribe or incentive to make the child basically do what the parent wanted them to do, right? Whereas reinforcement is you come up with the goal together, preferably the child comes up on their own, and then child can earn towards that reward. So it could be the exact same money, Lego set, unlimited video game time, or whatever it is that you guys decide, but it's the child who has a skin in the game in terms of the goal, and then child would work towards that. So it's not just what you as a parent want your child to do. It's a common goal that your child is working towards. Now, when it comes to the incentives, I would like it to be reasonable, appropriate, and proportionate. So unless that you are willing to spend copious amount of money or thing or whatever it is that you have in your arsenal, I would say it doesn't have to be this gigantic reward every single time. And in fact, it could be, oh my gosh, great job, the praise. That could be the source of reinforcement. So it doesn't have to be a thing or the money all the time. And you make sure that you would reward after your child completes whatever the goal that you guys agreed your child would be doing. All right. As a parent, I also want to emphasize, be patient, and it's okay with taking time. So you're not necessarily forcing the outcome. Once again, it's okay to let go of forcing the outcome. It's easy said and done, but what you're asking your child to do is as equally easier said and done. So here we go. You and your child are working as a same team, doing slightly different things, but for the same goal of your child getting better. And what the teens want is their voice matters. They want to be heard and they want to be validated. So what you can do as a parent, again, in the name of connecting over correcting, you can say, I hear you. I understand you. I cannot imagine how you're going through, but I hear you and I believe you. That right there is a sense of connection. But if you pair that with, but you still need to do these things and then you're not doing this right, and I really need you to go see 10 more different doctors, then you're immediately kind of canceling this connection part and then going to the correction. And this is where teens start to push back. So focus on the connection part and just end your statement right there. I hear you. I believe you. And then teens want you to be flexible and reasonable. So what that means is, again, you are basically communicating to your child that you are on the same team. Instead of you telling your child what your child needs to do, the spirit here and then the mindset here is that you are on the same team with your child. So you and your child are figuring things out together. So in conclusion, chronic pain and FND, these persistent chronic symptoms are legit. Your child's not making things up. It's a stings and it's very scary and terrifying for parents to witness your child suffering. And I get that. At the same time, it's really important for you as a parent to empower your child so then your child has skin in the game. If you are managing your child's symptoms, the more you do it, the less likely your child is going to have a skin in the game because it becomes your problem as a parent. I hope this video was helpful, but leave any comments in the below what kind of struggles that you are having as a parent when you are trying to get your child on board with potentially helpful treatment options or any of that stuff that would be helpful for your child. And if you are a dedicated parent and bright and compassionate child are ready to take actionable solutions, then you might be a good fit for my program. Click the link below today to talk to me directly and see if you qualify for my program. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video.